inside their expanded showroom at Westside Decorating Center. Good morning. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. Nice to have you with us. We're expecting to hear about the Bay City Lions Club Tag Days. I will tell you that they are going on this weekend in Bay City, and look for the Lions, and they'll be out with their tags. I want to touch on something else just for a moment. You heard a news story Michael told you about the young man, Alejandro Gonzalez, who was swimming in Mexico and apparently was caught in a riptide or something. But anyway, he was dragged out to sea. They have not been able to find him. And he did work occasionally at Miles Market down on Gratiot in Saginaw. They are going to have a fundraiser Friday night at Miles Market. It's a spaghetti dinner to help the family out. And at the same time, his church was asking for prayers. The Saginaw Wesleyan Church was asking for prayers for his safe return. They're praying for Renee, Matt, Isaac, and Evelyn for strength and peace and comfort. So I just wanted to mention that, and particularly the fundraiser dinner again is this Friday evening. I'll have to get the exact time, but it is Friday at Miles Market, a fundraiser for the family. All right. We will have open phones, 989-752-6111. You heard me chatting with Sheriff Swanson in the first hour of the program. One of the things we talked about is the Michigan House has passed a police funding bill targeting high crime areas. This was bipartisan. House Bills 4260 and 4261 would dedicate $115 million annually in sales tax revenue for new public safety and violence prevention funds. And the money has to go for that. If it's given to a department, they have to use it for either hiring new officers or things that are in prevention as opposed to anything else. And it passed the House. Talk about bipartisan. It does happen every now and then. The vote in the House was 104 to 4. And that's about as bipartisan a bill as you can get. Under the legislation, law enforcement would have discretion on how to spend the money. For example, they could use it to recruit and retain officers. They could buy new patrol cars, for instance. They could not use the money to obtain tactical use vehicles, large military-style vehicles. They could not use it for facial recognition technology or chemical weapons. And this legislation also is a priority for Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan, who joined House Speaker Matt Hall, a Republican from Richland Township, on April 7th for a news conference to promote the bill. And it's gotten, a lot of bipartisan support, so I would have to think it would make it through the Senate pretty easily, and I would also have to think the governor would sign it. So maybe we'll get some funds coming into these police departments. All right, we're going to find out just for a moment here. We're going to find out about the Lions Tag Day sale up in Bay County. And Dennis Panachik is with us this morning. Dennis, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with us.
Not a problem.
So the Lions Club have been doing tag sales for a long time, haven't they?
Yeah, Bay City Club has been.
So when and where? How does it work?
Okay, well, Friday and Saturday we'll be out on the streets of Bay City on the corners, and we have this year we have a green tag. It actually has a QR code, so if you don't have money when you get there, you can scan it and actually make a donation later. But we're usually there from sunrise to sunset, and if you miss us at one corner, chances are you'll catch us at another one.
And what time do you start?
We serve breakfast at 6 a.m., So our guys can be out, and our guys and our ladies, I keep forgetting to mention the women, they can be out at the street as early as 7 typically.
Wow. And you're out there all day.
Yep.
And the
we
money
break it up into half-day shifts.
And the money goes for what?
Glasses, hearing aids. Some of it goes for seeing eye dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of it stays right in Bay County, but the stuff that does go out usually comes back in terms of, for instance, a seeing eye dog or some kind of an assistance for somebody who needs a reader or something to help them, hear better.
And these have always been the major causes that the Lions Club has fought for.
Yep. Shortly after the Lions were established in Chicago, Helen Keller spoke to a conference of Lions, and she made us the Knights of the Blind. And so that's been our mission ever since.
And at one time, Lions clubs were collecting glasses that are no longer used by people. Do you still do that?
We still do that, and that goes to the Special Needs Vision Clinic in Bridgeport. And we have a former optometrist that's in charge of it in our club, and he's been doing an excellent job. We're talking he's putting thousands of glasses into the program through the collections throughout the city.
Fantastic. Well, again, this Saturday and Sunday on the streets of Bay City.
No, Friday and Saturday.
I'm sorry, Friday and Saturday on the streets of Bay City. Look for the Lions. Donate as much as you can and get a green tag and support the cause.
That's what it comes down to.
All right, Dennis. Well, we appreciate the information and wish you well with it.
Well, thank you, sir. You take care.
Have a good one. Bye-bye now.
You as well. Bye.
Dennis Panachik and the Lions Club green tags this year. Bay City, Friday and Saturday, starting at 7 in the morning and running all day. Lines open for you, 989-752-6111, the number to call. And join in the conversation here on WSGW.
Rocket Grab Plus.
If you get denied, you have to play it. You have to spend another 15 years before you get your second appeal. If that's denied, then you get one more. You have to spend another 15 years, and you get your third and final appeal. If that fails, you're done. You don't get no more appeals.
There's, in some ways they do that now. They don't have the fixed number on it like that. But there are constant parole hearings for people who have served the minimum of whatever the judge says the minimum is. And they do or they don't get parole. And they can go 2 and 3 times before they finally get it. So it's a workable idea, let's put it that way.
And my second idea is you can take that Bantam or whatever that show at noon is, when Thomas Allen retires. You put that show on at 6 o'clock because I do not like that show at all.
Yeah, well, it's not going anywhere because a lot of people do. And that's the nature of the business.
Well, I was thinking if we moved that to 6 o'clock, people that wanted to listen to local sports and listen to local sports, and the people that really like that show can listen to that show. That's just my idea.
All right. Well, but here's the thing, Owen. Remember this now. Most local sports aren't on at noon weekdays. Most local sports are on in the evening.
That's why I want that. That's why I want this show to move to evenings. So when I'm listening to sports, I don't have to listen to that. I just shut the radio off at noon most of the time. So
well, then that's your choice. Not a problem.
I mean, I'm not trying to diss down anybody. It's just
I understand. I understand that. That's not every show is for everybody. There's no two ways about it.
But I do love your show.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
And I send Charlie Rood my idea I told you about having a 1-hour show on Saturdays, especially.
Yep.
The last winter time when we had that major ice storm or whatever up north. Well, TV5, the only local channel, has news now in the entire state of Michigan from the Bay North. And I was thinking if we had a 1-hour show just on Saturday mornings, like 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever, you do your national news, your local news, your sports, and your weather, and then you do like a special event that's going on that weekend. Like your Kids the World or whatever.
Well, if you put it in Charlie's bin, he's the guy. So that's Never know.
Well, I asked Charlie Rood to make a poll out of it and see what your listeners would think about.
All right.
If they would approve or not.
Good enough.
So.
All right, Owen.
I just wanted to tell you about my murder thing.
Appreciate it.
About 30 to life.
Got it. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Yep.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
And we'll go to Sheridan, and we'll talk to Carol this morning. Good morning, Carol.
Yeah, and we'll celebrate the wind isn't over 40 miles an hour today.
Amen.
Ripped your arm off when you go out the door, especially if you got something in your hand. It was real fun. You mentioned on the station, sometimes you have things I've never heard or don't hear again. And they mentioned Bruce Dobson, the mayor of St. Ignace, had passed away. And actually, he had a funeral home and things up to Stanton, like 5 miles from us. And he's married to my very good friend's first cousin. So it was kind of fun to hear that somebody I knew that you mentioned at St. Ignace. Mm-hmm. And I know yesterday somehow you guys completely missed Earth Day. There was never a mention of it. We all share this. And I think, too, also when you don't have grandchildren and don't expect to have grandchildren, it makes it a little difficult for people that want to leave this earth a better place than we were here. I
think most of us want to leave it a better place.
Yeah, but it was never ever mentioned. And bless their heart for them foster kids, because they'll spend $5 million on a dog park and these kids live in an old farmhouse someplace. Just to tell a kid when they're 18 bye, that's
pretty
I'm
shocking.
glad you're having more on the foster care. I helped a lady that started We Care for Kids and different funding, and they really get it. These kids do not bargain. This is nothing that they
they didn't bargain for it. They were born into it. It's unfortunate.
Yes. But I think all you can do for foster kids or foster family and things, because that's a tough. You just think of all the things you learned from mom and dad and all the neighbors and backup support you had, and to have none, that's a nasty way to go.
We're all products of our upbringing and our parents.
Well, yes,
absolutely.
And you really, but I always wonder why $5 million for a humane society something, but nothing for the that you can get for the kids.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just a few of my little fuzzy little things.
That's
this morning.
all right, Carol. Thanks. Have a good one.
Okay. Well, like I say, the sun's trying to shine and the wind ain't blowing 40 miles an hour, so we got to celebrate a little bit.
You got it. All right. Kid.
Okay.
Take care.
Take care, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
And we'll say hi to Scott in Saginaw. Good morning, Scott.
Hey, morning, Art. I just want to talk a little bit about what I believe is, once again, some hypocrisy from the left. I want to start with Josh Shapiro here and say it was a tragedy that a maniac threw that Maltail cocktail through his window. No American should be terrorized. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, no American should be terrorized. Now, with that being said, I seen Josh Shapiro this morning on TV, and he said, since that happened, they're going to get a new security system at the governor's mansion to make sure he's safe. I was going, I remember watching some stories where some apartment buildings were overrun with some gangs that weren't even from this country.
Colorado.
In Colorado. It was in Colorado. We all know what happened. And I'm wondering, did those Americans get any type of security? Yeah. Nothing happened until Donald Trump got in office and released ICE to do their job. Then the American citizen in those apartment complexes got relief.
Yeah.
And it's just like I said, it's just, I notice how the Democrat wants to protect themselves, but to the American citizen, too bad, so sad, fend for yourself. I mean, would they tell you over in, I think, Washington State, for muggers, carry money on you so you can give them money and they don't hurt you?
Yeah, okay, right. There's a concept. Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
That won't encourage more muggers, would it? No.
No, I don't think so.
How dumb.
All right.
Oh, well. All right. Good enough, Scott.
Let's go.
Have a good one. Art. Take care. Bye-bye now. All right. 752-989. 752-6111 is the number to call. And we have Dennis in Reese. Dennis, good morning.
Good morning. Haven't called your show in a long time because I have a hard time controlling my emotions sometimes. But I want to call I want to call and address the one caller, I think it was Monday or yesterday, where she said that she didn't hear anything from President Trump addressing the people about Easter. And I did see it on Channel 46. He had the nicest Easter wishes to the people, and he was not afraid to talk about the risen Savior and that. And if she missed it, she really missed it.
Well, and it wasn't just there either. I mean, the cables had it. It was everywhere.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't there when she watched, but it was there.
Yeah. And I also want to put a shout out to our state senator, Gary. I've called him possibly, I think, over a dozen times.
State senator or federal senator?
Our federal senator, Gary Peters.
Gary Peters, right.
Yes. And you talk about call your senator, call your persons. I've called him over a dozen times wanting to address some issues. He fails to call me back. Now, I don't think that's right.
I'm gonna have to give you a little taste of reality here. They get hundreds, if not more, calls a day. No senator can call them all back. That's why they have a staff. Now the staff should call.
Staff, they don't even recognize it, Art.
Well, they
I
should.
have yet to get.
Have you when you dial the number? Does somebody answer?
Yes, and I leave messages, and I leave my phone number.
Well,
right.
It's just. I will tell you, after sitting in some of those offices when I visited Washington from time to time, that it never stops. And it's darn near impossible to react to every constituent who calls, and then many who aren't constituents who call. It's darn near impossible. Now, if somebody answers the phone a live person, they should be able to at least hear your concern and pass it on.
Wow. And the other thing, the media with these deportations, and if they come into the country illegally, Joe let them in. He let them in. Somebody has to clean his mess up, and now they're having a problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. Now we have a man in the White House that's there. He's trying his best to clean the mess up that was left him.
Yep.
Whether you're a Trump man or not, I don't care. But I'm just saying, this man is visual. He is trying to make a difference.
Yep.
For the last 4 years, we had a man there that hid and couldn't run a lemonade stand. And I'm sorry, but that's the fact. I mean, he had no business, and the Democratic Party should be ashamed of themselves to put a man in the highest position in this country with that mental capability.
Yeah. All right. Well,
okay.
Time will tell.
Art,
appreciate it.
And one other thing.
Real quick.
One other thing. Yeah. You're looking for something to put in that time slot. You can go back to trade line or listen to the message.
No!
That didn't offend anybody. That didn't offend anybody.
That's true.
Okay?
That's true.
Right.
All right,
okay.
brother.
All right. Yep.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Art. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Attention, all Mega Millions players.
we're back with you here on WSGW and back to our phones. Carl is in Saginaw. Good morning, Carl. Carl, you there? Thought I pushed the button. I guess I didn't.
Had a
There he is.
meeting with-
Now I got you.
Oh, really?
I didn't push the
Okay.
button right.
Okay. I think it was Monday. Trump had a meeting with the heads of Target, Walmart, Home Depot. It could have been one of the reasons that he's changed his course on tariffs somewhat. But apparently these business leaders were telling him, we're looking at higher prices soon and also empty shelves. And apparently that made an impression on Trump. Art, I was wondering, a lot of your advertisers are small business people in this area. Are you hearing from any of them, concerns about how Trump is handling the economy?
No.
No? None?
I haven't. I can only tell you what I've heard. I haven't heard a thing.
Okay. Well, I've heard that small businesses, are less equipped to handle, ups and downs.
Well, that's true
than
of
bigger
anything in
companies.
business. That's always been true.
Yeah.
It's not true now. It's
Yeah.
true always.
Right. Well, they don't have the cash reserves.
They're small.
They don't have the stockholders. They don't have the equity.
Yeah, right. They don't have.
Right. And I've heard a bunch of farmers are saying, they're one crop away from bankruptcy. They don't have 6 months or 12 months or 18 months to wait.
Nothing new there
see
either.
how these things. Well,
None of
okay,
that's
well, I just
new.
thought
It's been that
maybe
way
you-
forever.
okay. Well, I thought maybe you'd heard from some of your advertisers,
Not a thing.
local businessmen.
No, as a matter of
They
fact,
might be concerned about this.
Good on us. Knock on wood. We're doing very well. So,
Well,
what can I
good
tell
for
you?
you.
Well, that's it.
Art,
There
what
you
if,
go.
What if Doge came to WSGW and said,
We closed the door.
You
They
need
don't
to
come
cut
here."
20% of your workforce.
Well, they can't.
We don't really know that much about your
We-
business,
we
but
can't.
we figure there's waste and abuse, so you should cut 20%
Well,
of
you see,
your
now
workforce.
you're not talking about reality.
tomorrow.
You're not talking about reality because Doge can't do that.
No, they can do it in Washington.
Well, they can do it in Washington. That's what they were chartered to do. But they can't do it to
And
us,
does
so
it make
don't use
sense?
us as an example.
But it wouldn't make sense to do it to you, would it?
Well,
just cut
actually, the
20%
reality is, to be honest with you, it has happened over the years. We are a lean machine when it comes to employees. And I'll give you an example. When we were 2 stations in this building in the 80s, we had 65 employees. We have 5 stations now, and we are below 30. So we don't need Doge. Business dictates how we operate.
Okay. Well, I don't see
because we have to live within our means. Something the government hasn't learned.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Well, if you really want to cut government spending, let's talk about Social Security and current benefits. You want to talk about that?
We could talk about the waste. It's not funny.
Well-
We could talk about the waste. Absolutely. We could talk about the waste there. We could talk about the waste in Medicare. We could talk about the waste in Medicaid, as long as we talk about the waste in all the other government agencies.
And the contracts that Elon Musk has with the government, is there waste in those contracts?
I have no idea. I've never read them. I do know this, though. He has
But
said
you
he's
know
going to
there's waste
reduce.
in Social Security.
He's
You know
gonna-
that.
I know there's waste in government. And if you don't, your eyes are closed.
Well, I've heard that Social Security has some of the lowest amounts of fraud of just about any program there is.
We'll find out.
Well, when they close the local office and you can't get them on the phone when you have a problem, yeah, we'll find out.
Okay. Good
Okay.
enough.
All right. Thanks,
Take care.
Art.
Bye-bye. All right, we'll get to Charlie and Michael in just a couple of moments.
Covenant Healthcare helps.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW. I'll get back to our phones. Charlie is in Bay City. Charlie, good morning.
Morning, Art.
Morning.
In regards to that vacant seat in the Senate,
Yep.
You were talking to Tim Beeson, I believe it was Monday,
Yes.
and wondering if there might be some legalese that would encourage her to set a date for a special election. So I started thinking about it, and I came up with some suggestions. One is election interference.
You can't interfere with an election if you don't have one scheduled. That's the problem with that one.
Well, you're supposed to schedule it.
Well, yeah, I know
when
that.
the seat is vacant.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's with discretion. She's supposed to do it, but it doesn't mandate that she do it on day one, for example. I'm not listen. Hear me out. I'm not disagreeing with you because I think she's dead wrong on this issue. We need representation, so I'm agreeing with you, but I think the premise has to be the correct premise to force her to do it.
But by not doing it, she is violating every voter's right.
Well, yeah, that I agree with. That I agree with. But
that goes.
The question is, does the law protect that individual right? Now,
Yeah.
I think it should because, for example, and I think I said this to Tim on Monday. This country was founded because of taxation without representation.
Right.
Right now, we're being taxed, but we don't have representation in the Michigan Senate. Maybe we should all stop paying our taxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what happens. See what happens.
That goes to Section 241, 242 of the U.S. Criminal Code, Title 18. Conspiracy to deny someone their constitutional rights is a crime.
Yeah, well, it's not
Section 241, 242 is under color of law.
Yeah.
Depriving someone their constitutional rights.
I will tell you this.
A misdemeanor.
I will tell you this. I will tell you this. A lot of people have looked at it. And if there was a reasonable chance that those things would work, it would have been done.
You would think.
You would think.
You would think.
So,
yeah.
In the meantime, we sit here without it.
There's a couple of things to wonder about.
Yeah, well, that's true.
For the people who are doing all the searching, why didn't they run across those things?
Well, I think some of them have. I don't think they've found them applicable. That's why. Legal minds have looked at it. And if they haven't done anything, who am I to know better than they? I may think it should work, but that doesn't mean it will.
We're all responsible to know the law.
Well,
all citizens are presumed to know the law. That's from Plato, I think.
Well, that was Plato. It's not in our Constitution.
That's where they get the expression "ignorance of the law is no excuse," and that applies to lawyers.
Well, but see, you think it's ignorance. It may not be. They may know the law better than you do, because the law is intricate.
But you're assuming that they looked at it, and I don't think they have.
I know people that have. Oh, absolutely they have. It's not gone unnoticed. They just haven't figured out how to put the right pressure on yet. They haven't found the right way to do it. So, but it's being looked at. It's being looked at.
Section 241, 242.
As you read it. Yep. But lawyers may read it differently.
It's pretty clear.
Well, lawyers may look at it differently. They have to prove the case.
Google it and read it.
I understand. I've read it. All right. Good enough.
Okay. Thanks, Art.
Yep. The law is pretty clear, but if that were true, we wouldn't need lawyers. And the fact is, the law is a lot more complicated than what you read. All right, this is Michael in Bay City. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Art. I just have one quick thing. About a couple callers back when a guy was saying that Biden couldn't run on a lemonade stand. And really, really ragging on him. How does he feel about having a convicted felon in the White House? 34 counts, convicted felon. I thought you couldn't run for office or anything if you've been convicted.
Yeah.